This video provides instructions for the use of the electronic medical record, or EMR, within the clinical portal of ACE. The purpose of the EMR is to maintain all medical records related to the patient in a format that is searchable and sortable, in addition to being securely protected and HIPAA compliant. Every medical practice will have unique policies and procedures regarding the use and disclosure of patient medical records. Clinicians are encouraged to seek the guidance from their supervisory team when questions or concerns arise. This video is not intended to provide guidance on how to use or disclose medical records. This is simply a tutorial on how to access the patient medical record in Clinical ACE. The final tab of a patient record is the Electronic Medical Record, or EMR tab. This is where the clinical user will access clinical documentation that has been signed and placed in the EMR. The Clinical ACE portal provides the user with the last 13 months of clinical documentation. Please contact your administrative ACE team to obtain clinical EMR documents that are not available in your EMR. A user can narrow the search for a specific document type by using the drop-down box, or may open the full EMR for the patient by leaving the document type field empty and tapping the search button. The EMR defaults to the ACE viewer to open documentation when it's selected. Compliance dictates that once a clinical document is signed and filed in the EMR, it cannot be deleted or changed. The only way to make corrections to a clinical document in a patient medical record in ACE is to write an addendum to the incorrect document. The clinical user will open a document in the ACE viewer in order to complete an addendum. When the document is open, the user will tap the Add Addendum button. A text box will appear, allowing the user to identify the error on the documentation and provide the correct details. When the addendum is signed, the clinical user will get a confirmation message that the addendum has been added to the existing EMR document. The documentation is now identified as addended in the EMR search results. An addendum alert message is also sent to the admin group in the admin portal of ACE. An admin user will determine when and if further steps are needed based upon the information in the addendum. For example, when a clinical user corrects a place of service detail with a progress note addendum, the admin user will forward this alert and information to the billing group for billing corrections. If an addendum corrects a clinical diagnosis error, the admin user will forward the message and information to the clinical group so that they can make the appropriate corrections in the database. There are times when a clinical user will need to view a document in order to complete documentation forms in ACE. An example of this is when you are using an other provider evaluation to document an other provider plan of care. The clinical user will narrow the search for the document by selecting Evaluation from the document type drop-down list and then tapping the search button. The search result will open in the default ACE viewer. The clinical user will need to change the viewer to Local by tapping the radio button. This will open the document using a different application on the user's device, most often Adobe. By opening the document outside of the ACE program, the user can toggle back and forth, completing ACE documentation forms while also referencing the document. This concludes the instructions for the electronic medical record in Clinical ACE. For further information, feel free to watch the video again and pause as necessary. Additionally, you may consult the written Clinical ACE manual for detailed instructions and screenshots related to specific features and tasks.